Welcome to the Mortgage Broker broadcast, hosted by me, Craig Skelton. Each week, I'll be sharing my own experiences in building my own business and brand. I will also be joined by guests who have become mortgage brokers, experienced mortgage brokers, experts from within the industry, which are here to help you build a long-term mortgage broker career. Welcome to Season 2 of the Mortgage Broker broadcast. Hi and welcome back to the Mortgage Broker broadcast. My guest this week is Mike O'Brien, and the reason why I wanted to get Mike onto the podcast was to talk about estate planning and the opportunities with estate planning referrals. And before you switch off and think, oh, I don't get any referrals, I don't get any opportunities, I don't need somebody else banging on about estate planning, hear us out. I think it's just important to understand not only the benefits of referring estate planning opportunities, and you will have them, guarantee you, every single mortgage broker has estate planning opportunities, but it's also interesting on the flip of that, the consequences of not referring clients to estate planners, and just listening to what Mike's got to say about what happens from that point of view and the world of estate planning if you're not working with somebody as a referral and somebody that you know that you trust. So, and as you know, client retention and working with third parties is important to me. So yeah, let's just get Mike onto the podcast. So welcome to the podcast, Michael O'Brien. How are you?
I'm well, Craig. Thanks for having me back. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks for coming back. And I'm giving you your full Sunday name there. So am I calling you Michael? Am I calling you Mike? What are we? Mr. O'Brien, now we're having this sort of podcast. I've got to get it right.
Michael Patrick Zachariah. Yeah, I know I'm in trouble with that one. No, Mike's great, mate. I'm good with Mike. Yeah, that's fine.
Fine. Mike it is then. So welcome back onto the podcast. Like, it was episode 13, unlucky for some, 13 when you was on. So it was just over a year ago. Well, it was June 2021, so just over a year ago by the time this is released. So time flies when you're having fun, mate. It seems like yesterday.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Wow, has it been a year already? It has been a crazy year, to be fair. Yeah, wow. I didn't realise it was that long, to be fair, Craig. But no, thanks for having me back. I really appreciate it. Packed a fair bit into the last 12 months, both of us, I think, haven't we?
Yeah. I think it's fair to say, including a few beers at the Mortgage Strategy Awards, but we won't go on to that. So I think I've still got the hangover now from that night, but there you go. We won't go with that. We'll talk about that. But yeah, mate, it has been such a sort of crazy, because you think about, like you say, the podcast before, when you came before, was talking about directly authorised, and I know you're still in that space helping brokers look at going directly authorised and lots of other things. Since that podcast recorded you've done, I already thought you got your fingers in quite a few pies. Now you've got your toes and big toes in various pies as well. Now you must have. So just following on from a conversation we had, I know we're now working with you as a firm with regards to estate planning and this sort of conversation that we had. And I just thought to myself, we need to get Mark back onto the podcast, because estate planning and estate planning referrals and client retention is so important as a mortgage broker. But it's something that it's fair to say is overlooked. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I would agree with that. I took an opportunity, well, it'll be 12 months tomorrow, actually, in buying into a much larger estate planning business. And I didn't realise how overlooked it is. I know that might sound a bit mad. I made a really snapshot decision when I saw the technology and where it was going. And then I found out a little bit more about the scope of the opportunity afterwards, and how many people don't have wills, lasting power of attorneys. I think is that potentially 99% of people with a mortgage don't have the lasting power of attorneys. So it's just a massive opportunity. Yeah, it is. It's a staggering figure. I think 70% of people, adults in the UK, don't have a will. It's just, like I say, it's a massive opportunity. And the more you sort of work away at it and you talk to people, you understand why it's being overlooked a little bit. So I've sort of almost gone on a bit of a mission to try and build this in as part of the mortgage broking process. So I've gone to like systems providers, clubs, like with the technology and the idea, and sort of opened those discussions really. I'm like, look, how do we build it in? How do we make it like every day that we do it? You know, it's a discussion that we're having. We're closing for that business because it's an essential bit of the overall package for me. Like you're giving them a mortgage, you're giving them life insurance, you're giving them general insurance. You're building their estate, you're building their like value as an individual or as a family. It's like, how do you ensure that then passes on to like the next generation? If you're not giving them the will,
it goes back.
More open.
Exactly. It's like, it's just going back to what you said. It's not overcomplicating it. It's just having a process. You have a process from a mortgage point of view. You have a process for protection. There's as a mortgage broker, you have to have a process. All it is with the estate planning is just slotting it in at some stage in the process that you feel. And we'll talk about that, obviously, when is the right time within the process. But if you've got a process for it, then you're not going to miss the opportunities.
Exactly that. I think that's where it's at. I compare it almost to like the life insurance conversation. It's like people don't really want to think about dying, but it's a guarantee it's going to happen. You know, you just don't know when it's going to happen. Yeah. So it's one of those products that you're going to need. So it's asking the question, it's positioning it correctly with the customer. You know, it's making people realize why it's important.
I think that's it. It's the clients walk in, and it's the same with protection, isn't it? Like the clients will walk into your office or will pick up the phone and you'll have an appointment with that client and they want the mortgage. It's the mortgage that's the catalyst for everything else that you talk about in your process. And I think like the clients won't walk into a mortgage broker and say, do you know what? I need a lasting power of attorney, or I need a will, and like we've already talked about, we're not going to get into the technicalities of what is a will and a lasting power of attorney and stuff like that today, because we're just not. But so the client doesn't. It's the same as clients don't always walk in and say, do you know what? I need an income protection policy, or I need that critical illness plan. Like say, clients won't do that. But so it's the role of the mortgage broker to talk about those sorts of things, because if they don't, the client will leave that meeting, take on that debt when actually they're not fully covered. So the mortgage broker might be sitting thinking, it's all right, I've got life, I've got a bit of cake, and I've got some IP, but I've done no estate planning. I'm not talked about anything to lasting power of attorneys and wills and stuff like that. So you've not got every base covered, and we're not even going to get started like talking about financial advice, referrals, and the rest of it that I've talked about too many times before. It's just looking at one particular part in it. But it's just vital that you do talk about it, because you're leaving the client so septic. Oh, mate, sorry, mate.
No, sorry, mate. I was going to say it is 100%, but from a business perspective as well, you're leaving the door open for someone else to come in and have that conversation and provide that product, and then that opens the doorway to other things. So there are providers online that would give you a will for like £7 or £8, but then they'll pass you on to another company that will do a mortgage for you and life insurance for you and a pensions referral and everything else. So as a brokerage, if you're not sort of looking to like close the door on that opportunity while you're talking with the customer, it might open the door somewhere else and you lose the customer completely. You know, it's just a chance I wouldn't want to take as a business if I could easily solve it.
Absolutely not. Why would you do that? Because like if you think about it, that if you don't, like, I'm all about client retention. Everybody knows I go on a lot about client retention and making sure that as a firm, as CS Financial Group and the business that I run, we're covering every single base. So estate planning, wills, like we've got equity release, we've got financial advice, we've solicited, like everything's within the business to making sure that we're retaining that client. And if you don't, it's then you're just leaving it open. Like you say, free will, like £7, £8 online. Somebody that knows that they need a will, that they sort of sees it as something that's important to them. You've not talked about it. They don't put two and two together to say, do you know what? I need to go and see Craig. My mortgage broker's Craig. I need to go and see Craig about my will. They'll not put two and two together. They'll just go, right, sit here on Google, get me a will or will write like or anything like that. And then guess what? That will person, whoever's talking about the will that's going to charge them, they're not making money charging £7-8 for a will. So where else do they make it?
Exactly that. It's a data capture exercise. It's exactly that. It's capturing client data. From that information, they'll find out about their assets. They'll find out if they've got any life insurance. They'll find out if they've got any in general insurance. And I know that because that was part of the appeal with the actual platform that I've purchased. So I can run a B2C campaign online, and I can generate leads and provide information to mortgage brokers that I work with. That's one of the things that I could choose to do if I wanted to. It's not an avenue I've gone down. I've favoured the working with the mortgage broker community that I work with already, and looking to sort of service them with wills and estate planning for their customers, so they keep them in house, because the product that we've got is lifetime editable. So once you've got it, you never have to go and pay for it somewhere else again. You can go back and change it anytime you want. So I can go out to my sort of mortgage broker friends, DAs, etc., and say, look, we'll look after your customers' wills and estate planning, and then they're ring fenced within your business. A competitor can't offer them a £5 will and it'd be cheaper because they could rewrite what they've already done for free.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you think about it from a will writer's point of view, like you say, you're talking about the assets, you're talking about the life insurances and putting things into trust and things like that. Well, lo and behold, you're doing a fact finding as a will writer, as an estate planner. You're going to find all these things. You're going to find out they've got a plan with Aviva that's 100 grand, they're paying 30 quid a month for, and things like that. And lo and behold, it's no surprise, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, that client gets a call. Hi, is that Mr. Jones? Yes, it is. I'm calling on behalf of Aviva. We're just going to look at your life insurance. We noticed that we might be able to save you some money. We just need 10 minutes of your time. And that's it, done. Like all the work that a mortgage broker's done of creating the importance of talking about the need and the budgeting and priorities and all those sorts of things and the hours that they've taken, all of a sudden they get an email from Aviva saying, client's not paid the direct debit, or there's a clawback now. And then the broker's going, how did it somebody rang me from Aviva. Well, no, it's technically they ring the client, then they end up kicking off saying, well, Aviva's rang them. No, it wasn't Aviva. They just knew all the details because of the data capture stuff that these people have gone through several weeks ago. So don't leave yourself wide open.
Exactly that. Just close that door. I know we're working together on it, so I can talk from our personal experience. Just provide a referral over to a company like ourselves and let us look after it for you. It's boxed off. It's dealt with. It's just for me. It should be a natural part of the process. There's 2 or 3 really simple questions. Just open it up with people, get them thinking about why they need it and why it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, is it's just forget about the income, first of all, because obviously there's an income that this generates, but forget about that. It's about the service for the client. And if you've already got a process, it just needs to be bolted in at some stage when you feel it's right. And I'm just interested, what's your take on estate planning? When do you think it should be? Have you got a right or wrong or an ideal with regards to that in terms of your experience? Or
no, it's I mean, I like I say, I compare it to sort of life insurance, and I used to sell life insurance in a previous life, and I would be putting it in as early in the process as possible, just mentioning it as one of the services that we provide. So it's already on the table when you're having those initial conversations. It's actually, I can get everything I need with Craig. He does this, he does that, so on and so forth. And then you would sow the seeds throughout the process. Now, I think different businesses have different ways of doing things, but successfully sort of looking at GI, doing the GI conversation, consolidating that sale, getting that in place. And it's a natural lead. It's the mortgage is now offered, the property secured, we've got the life insurance in place, you've protected you guys as individuals, the house is protected. Now, let us help you make sure that this is going to the right person if anything happens to you. And that's what a will simply does. It's a distribution tool. The other bits that we add into it, like lasting power of attorneys and property trusts, etc., there's other elements to it which give you more control over things as well. But that, just talking as a will, as a basic distribution, it's like, what have you got? Where do you want it to go? And we can do that really simply.
I think I totally agree with you, Mike. In terms of, I think you've got to drip feed it into the process. I think you've got to start it as soon as you're interacting with a client. It's just signposting with that client to sort of say, I will be looking after everything for you. So we've got, I'll be sorting your mortgage out, sorting your protection out, sorting your estate planning out, sorting your solicitors out. Everything is within this. And I think it's funny you should say that, because there's not many mortgage brokers or firms that I see where estate planning or anything else third party is part of their proposition brochure. So we're part of Open Work. We've got a very bespoke proposition brochure, but ours does talk about, yes, it's got the regular stuff in terms of the mortgages and the protection side of things, but it also talks about other things we offer as well. So then making sure that we just drip feed into the client. So yes, we've got financial advice. Yes, we've got estate planning. We've got all these things that will look after you. Is then what you don't want to be doing is then shoehorning in it the end of the process to say, oh, by the way, I can help you with a will. It's like, where did that come from? You've not talked about that all the way through the process. You literally drop the bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've made money
it's
out
the same
of you
as an estate agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same as an estate agent saying, like, we'll do the house and we can refer somebody to a mortgage. It's like way down the line. It's like, well, no, it's got to be part of your process. And I think that may be a bad analogy with regard to estate agency, but you've got to be signposting it through the thing. If you don't talk about protection at the start of your first appointment with your proposition brochure, the client will just sort of see it as a bolt-on kind of thing, whereas this is what happens, and this is what happens naturally. And I used to use the word natural before. It's naturally going to be part of your process and naturally integrated with it, because then clients are more likely to, you've built that trust, you've built that relationship, you've worked so hard to do that as a mortgage broker. Why would you not refer to you to go, do you know what? That's a client, that's the detail, they're looking at a will, this is a situation. You're leaving yourself just so wide open. And I keep going on about that, and I get quite passionate about it, because client retention is massive. Because you see brokers every day trying to generate leads, trying to generate clients. Yeah, it's exactly huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. And I talk with people about working smarter. It's like, look at client value. It's like, you work so hard to like get this business in, sat with you, do the mortgage, like do the life, do the GI, talk to them about the will. I think if we just stick to the will for a moment, I think on a fact find, it's a tick box exercise for most people. It's like, do you have a will? Yes, I do. Yeah. No, I don't. Right. Okay. I've asked the question. I haven't really seen anywhere on a fact find where if someone says no, it says, well, do you understand the relevance and the importance of a will? Do you know what I mean? It's literally like, tick that, move on. And it's crazy, because it's just another great service to add in.
It is, like you said, I believe you're right. They just see it as a tick box exercise. Think, right, some of the part of the fact find done. It's like, right, I've asked about this, I've got their income, dates of birth. It's like goes in like dates of birth. Have you got a will? Yes or no? Well, what do you do with it? If they say no, what happens?
Yeah.
Is there like anything that happens? Like, if nothing happens, then what's the point of asking the question? If you need to have a reason to asking the question. Yeah. So if you're asking the question about a will, it's that trigger in your mind thinking, well, I know they've not got one, so I need to pick that up later. And it's just signposting at that point. It'll take you 2 seconds, 5 seconds, maybe 10. If you've got something as part of your process, we know what mortgage brokers like. They do the first appointment, like it's just natural thing that they do. If you're asking the question, have you got a will or not? Yes, I have. When was the last time you reviewed it? When was this? Just ask the certain questions.
Yeah,
you'll spot opportunities. Same as if you've not got a will. Okay, do you understand the impact of and all the rest of it. Like, well, no, I don't. Right, fine. We'll come back to that later. Today I'm worried about your mortgage. I'm going to get your mortgage sorted out. The house is important. But what I'm going to do is make sure that you stay in that house and you're securing the house and you've got every single base covered.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, it's this conversation starter that, and I don't think it should just stop at yes or no. It's where you can take it from there. I get it. It's not the primary objective, but it should be one of 4 or 5 objectives. Do you know what I mean? And you should look after them all equally, because that, like you've said earlier, like it's about looking after the client's needs. Yes, it'll generate revenue for you, of course it will, but it's a full service for the customer. And you are essentially protecting your own business as well by doing it for the reasons we mentioned earlier. Absolutely.
I think the thing is, I think if there was a stance on it and every single network, like what technology is like now, you're forefront of all that. And you look at people fact finds are going online, clients are filling their own fact find, and they're quite automated now to a certain extent. But when I see the online fact finds, it still only asks the question yes or no. It doesn't then, well, if it's yes, why can't we have a drop? Excuse me. Why can't we have a drop down box to sort of say, sorry, mate, I'm just going to take a drink of my quick tea. Get on my soapbox, mate, and getting too carried away with all the importance of estate planning. But why should it be then taken out? I'm just sort of chewing the fat here with you. In terms of, then be taken out
into another lead flow. Like, it's an identified opportunity. How do we nurture that opportunity through? A lot of what we do as a business, it can be done online. It's customer led. That's what's so beautiful about the platform, that people can do it like remotely if they want to. And it's just a few questions. I mean, I've seen some like protection workflows recently where it's taking the customer through an automated like protection journey. And when I saw it, it's effectively what I used to do as an insurance advisor, but it's in an automated process. And it's just insane. It's like anything that's repetitive, you can automate. That's my gut feel on it. You're gonna need a broker. I'm not saying that, but if you're asking the same question like 100 times a day, if someone wants to go into a platform and answer those questions and like get to a certain point in the journey on their own, like why not make that possible? If on a fact find it's identified an opportunity, why not send them like something separate to gather more information on that so you can provide a fuller service?
Absolutely. And I think so. You sort of talked a little bit about that, and I want to move on because obviously we've talked a lot about the importance of referring and why you should be referring, and the consequence of not referring as well from a client retention point of view. So we've done a bit of scaremongering, and the brokers are sat there now going, "Oh my God, I need to make sure." But then, so working with something like, I understand the process of that, but just to sort of question you a little bit more, Mike, in terms of what can clients expect? So as a broker, referring to you and Next Gen, what can I expect? So just talk me through and explain the process from a broker point of view, then turn into a client point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a digitalized platform, so a customer can actually go and complete their own will online if they wanted to. That it's becoming more and more common practice. There's an AI that sits in there that answers any questions related to wills and estate planning. It's loaded with about 2,500 answers. So you can complete your own will with all the guides in sort of 15, 20 minutes if you wanted to. Now, in addition to that, we've got an estate planning platform, which again can be client led. So a customer can go on. It's essentially a range of questions based on their individual circumstances, and it will provide them with a report. So a bronze, a silver and gold options, and it details it very much like when you shop for your car insurance on Money Supermarket. It's like, this is what's included, this is what's not included, and then it details why they should have it and what happens if they don't have it. Now, it is leading edge, this, and we understand that a lot of customers don't want to make that decision on their own. So we also have a telephone-based consultancy centre that sits behind that, And if anyone doesn't want to transact on their own, they go through to the consultant, and the consultant will walk them through it, and we do it in that way. Now, as a broker, what we tend to find, so if I just roll it back a little bit, I bought the business 12 months ago. I love the platform. I thought it was fantastic. I thought potentially we could look at brokers taking the client through the journey themselves and helping the customer make the selection. So I tried that for 3 or 4 months and didn't receive a single referral, not a single sale. It was just too much. You guys as brokers have enough to concentrate on and work on already, without saying, well, take your customer through this platform, and then it's not what you needed. So what we do with the referrals is we take the referral, we ask for a client name, contact number, and a date, and the consultant in the contact center will contact the customer and take them through the reporting process and sort of guide them through what they need and effectively complete the sale and manage it from top to bottom, basically. So we just ask you to position it with your customer, get their buy-in to have a conversation, and then we just do the rest.
Right. Okay. Which sounds pretty straightforward from a mortgage broker's point of view. Like I say, less traction, less stress, less drama than if it's just a name and referral and the details you explained, then there's no reason why I shouldn't be referring, to be fair.
Absolutely. Honestly, within a week of flipping it and putting the contact center in place, there was names and numbers flying around all over the place. So then I then automated like a referral form so we could have it automated directly into the team. Because everything I'm doing, I live in my inbox. But if I can automate it even further and have it going directly into a consultant with a please call Mrs. Jones at 4:00 tomorrow afternoon, that made it even easier. You know what I mean? It cut me out of the link altogether. But that was it. And it's just grown from there, really. And there's a few other bits and pieces we can do with the system. We can create URLs for campaigns. We can bespoke it out for you as a business. It's really adaptable. But then we've got the contact center as well. So we're covering all bases effectively.
Yeah, definitely. No, and in terms of then, so we understand from a broker's point of view, I know you're not going to go into too much detail from a client point of view, but what can the client expect? So if I've sent you a lead, sent you a referral, contact Mr. Jones at 4:30 tomorrow, how does that work? What's the process from a client's point of view, Mike?
That's it. So the consultant would ring them up and then take them through an estate planning fact-find journey. And then similarly to the customer doing it themselves online, it would present them with the options, and the consultant would discuss the options with the client. It may be that they don't go for like the full package initially due to budget constraints, but they take a lower level package and we revisit it in 12 months. It's a reason to speak with your customer as a broker potentially, and
exactly.
And we look to add additional products in as we go. Now, we can actually provide funding for the products for up to 60 months. It can make like the very top package for less than sort of a couple of £1 a day, really. But we can play around with it. There's loads of different options.
Right. And obviously you'll put that through once the mortgage is, depending on the lender, you'll make sure that it's done after.
Yeah, exactly that. That's why we look to, if someone was having a conversation with the contact center and their mortgage isn't completed, we would hold off. If they were looking to do it on finance, we would hold off until obviously it's all completed, because we understand the mortgage process. That's it. That's why the guys that I'm working with are tending to build this in at the back end at like offer stage, where they do like the GI and the other bits and pieces, because it plugs in quite nicely to that. Yeah.
No, I think it does. And we never I think that from my point of view, and like the way that we look at it from a business point of view, it is at that offer stage, put like pre-completion exchange that kind of area that we start to then, we've already been talking about it, is then looking at getting those sort of things in place. What about if I refer my client, you have that conversation at 4:30, how does the feedback look back to the broker? Is there any sort of process with regards to feedback from that?
So on the referral form, we ask that you provide a contact email for contact feedback. So the guys in the centre will email the referring broker directly with an update of either if they've been successful with contacting the client, what they've actually sold to the client, etc. So you've got that for your annual reviews. So you've got that information. Mm-hmm. You know what the client's undertaken. And it's just keeping you in the loop, because we've taken contracts with other businesses that have moved away from other companies because the level of contact and support was really poor. So that's what we've sort of prided ourselves on doing, really. It's like, we've got to be really up there. If I'm going to work to encourage you to send me business, it's your customer. You've got to know that the person that you're passing that customer on to is going to deliver the same level of service that you would want to personally. So that's
Absolutely.
been really important to us. Yeah.
I think the good thing is that you understand, you're not an estate planner or passing on to an estate planner that doesn't understand the mortgage process and how that works. You understand what the mortgage process looks like. So you are referring to somebody that's informed and got a clue what's sort of going on what stage the client's at and things like that. And obviously providing feedback's key to the success of the relationship, really, because the more you feedback to the brokers, the more they're going to refer and vice versa.
That's it, absolutely. It's just those lines of communication. It's just keeping everyone up to date with where it is. Because then, you've got that information when you speak to the customer. Nothing comes as a surprise. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Nobody likes surprises, and nobody wants that, especially when in something like this kind of world. People do love surprises in certain things, but certainly not in the mortgage world, the estate planning world. Yeah. Nobody loves a surprise. So definitely not. Mike, so we've talked about process, we've talked about consequences if you're not referring. Is there anything that we've not talked about or missed off?
No, I think we've covered a lot. I think we've covered pretty much everything, to be fair. I mean, I want to go on and say about lasting power of attorneys, but then we're sort of starting to make it a little bit more complex. But it's a conversation that I have with Al, who owns like the parent company. It's just one of those questions. It's like, would you, if you lost capacity, would you want someone that you love and trust to make your decisions for you, or would you want the local government to do it? And for me, it's a really strong question. And when you've got a mortgage involved in this scenario as well, if something happens to you, you can't renegotiate your mortgage deal. So there's just really strong ties in with estate planning and mortgage brokers for me. It's part of the process. I see it as part of the process.
No, definitely. And like you say, I'm conscious that we said we're not going to get too technical on it. First of all, just to get him, you don't want to get to. I get that brokers will want to understand if they don't already know what lasting power of attorneys are and consequences. They should have a basic knowledge in terms of things like that. And if they want to enhance the knowledge, then there's plenty of places to go with that. I think the main thing is understanding that it has to be part of your process. It needs to be part of the process. You're doing the client a disservice if you haven't got it part of your process, because you're just leaving your client wide open to be really, forget anything else. The service point of view is sort of key to building that trust and building that long-term relationship. And at the end of the day, we're mortgage brokers for a reason. We want long-term careers in this, and we want to build on the client retention. It's just sort of getting those wheels spinning, and once they are spinning, you just need to just touch them now again, and they'll keep going and keep going. And having the estate planning is part of that, really. And in terms of, we're not going to talk about commercials. I don't want to talk about commercials on the podcast, but I'm guessing there is a financial incentive from a mortgage broker's point of view to then refer the opportunities to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So we share the upfront sales commission. We also have a probate service as well, and we can provide executorship services to clients. And as a business, I also share any future potential from those two avenues as well.
Right. It works.
Yeah, it's definitely short term, long term. It's a strong business plug-in.
definitely. Anything else we've not missed? I think we've missed anything off. Not that I've got on my agenda to talk about, Mike.
No, I think we're good, mate. Appreciate you having me on, giving me the opportunity to have a chat about it.
No, I think I'm always conscious about on the podcast. There's no really pitching on there. Do you know what I mean? It's like not the idea is not to pitch like businesses or what people are doing or anything like that. But there's certain things that I get quite passionate about, and client retention is one of them. And I think if you're not, I see the consequence of not doing this, and that's why I think it's important to have, whether they're working with you, whether they're working, like they just need to have somebody. In my opinion, my humble opinion, I think you need to be working with an estate planner, because then it will only enhance your brand, your reputation. It will enhance your client retention as well, and obviously it generates income on the back of it. So there's not a reason not to do it. I struggle to think actually why would you not do it apart from can't be bothered. I think that's it.
I mean, honestly, I'm speaking to more and more companies that are looking at their client value and like their client proposition and what they offer to them. So historically, you've got accountants, that would be looking to refer business to mortgage brokers, for example. I'm speaking to accountants who want to offer their customers estate planning services, and then they're looking at actually bringing in a mortgage broker directly into their businesses, and they're looking to try and retain all of the possible opportunities under their business. So rather than referring leads out, it's a service you need to have, because if you're not providing it, they will find it somewhere else, and they will find other services alongside it. So we go back to that ring fencing the customer again. It's just a really important add-in.
Absolutely. Well, you're putting your client in the shark tank, aren't you? If you're not doing it, you're just dropping them in the shark tank, and then they're going to get picked off without a doubt.
Yeah, agreed.
Mike, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sort of agreeing to come back on the podcast. I think, like I say, people want to reach out to you thinking, actually, I want to hear more about what Mike's offering with regards to estate planning. We'll get you I'm guessing LinkedIn, inbox, however long you take.
Go LinkedIn. I live in there. I'm on there regularly. So reach out to me on LinkedIn, say hello, and we could sort something out from there. Doors always open.
Mate, I know that it is. I know that you will answer your phone. Your phone's always on, and we've talked about that before. So, but I think, like I say, it's about working with somebody that you know and trust, somebody that you know is not going to offset the client somewhere else and selling them protection, and then you've got a clawback, and you're not doing the remortgage in 2 years' time, 5 years' time. It's just about building it in part of your process. You've clearly explained that. You've explained the benefits of working with you as well, which is important. It's not just about the podcast, not just about working with you, but it's about just sort of dropping that into the advisors and the brokers, thinking it's something you need to be aware of from a client retention point of view. And thank you for your honesty. And like I say, coming back on, it's not quite episode 13, we're a bit further down the line, but thanks for agreeing to come back on, mate, and thanks for your time.
No, I appreciate you having me, Craig. Thanks very much, mate. We'll speak soon.
You've been listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast with me, Craig Skelton. I hope you found value in this podcast, and please don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes. As a mortgage broker coach, I help mortgage brokers in all aspects of their mortgage broking career. You could just be thinking about joining the industry and started to study your CMAP. You could be qualified and you're looking for the right firm with the right culture. You could be an employed mortgage advisor looking to take the leap into the self-employed mortgage broking world. You could be an experienced mortgage broker looking to improve your business. Or you could be looking to set up your own firm and your own brand. If this is something you would like to explore more, please see my website, craigskelton.co.uk, where you can arrange an informal initial discovery call.